Welcome back, guys. Before I get into introducing my next guest, I wanted to take a couple of minutes of your time to talk about the incredible people at Wear That Now. The ones who come through for me episode after episode, giving me these incredible clothes that you see. Now, I am so incredibly proud of this partnership. And for those of you who don't know or haven't heard how Wear That Now works, let me tell you. Once you head to their Instagram account and click the link in their bio, you fill out a style survey. Once you do that, you immediately get paired up with one of their incredible stylists. Huge shout out to my girl, Christelle, for dressing me today. What they'll then do is they will curate a box of outfits that fits your budget, your occasion, and your style. That box then gets sent straight to your doorstep for you to try on the clothes in the comfort of your own home. The outfits that you love, you keep, and the ones that you don't, you simply return. It's really as easy as that. So if you're like me and going to the mall, getting stuck in traffic, trying to find parking, dragging kids around is not your thing, then I urge you, head over to @wear.that.now, click the link in their bio, start shopping. My advice, do it when the kids go to bed and make a night of it. Enjoy. Have you guys ever looked at the back of your moisturizer or serum? I did the other day in preparation of this episode. And to be honest, there was a whole bunch of stuff in there that, number one, I couldn't pronounce. And I had like a niggly, sneaking suspicion that I shouldn't be putting it on the largest organ of my body, which is my skin. Which is why I have had the absolute pleasure to bring on this show a clean beauty crusader, entrepreneur and founder of the homegrown brand Apothecary by Mamta. Mamta Nilani is sitting across the table from me, and she's here to talk to us about what clean beauty is. We keep hearing about it, and it's a buzzword these days, but do we actually know what it is? Why should we start using it? And why is it become this phenomenon? She's going to debunk myths and tell us what we should actually be putting on our skin. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Mamta, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for
Welcome
having
to
me.
It Takes a Village.
So excited to be here.
I'm so excited. I know that, just a little bit of a background, she has had this crazy sinus infection all week.
Yeah.
And I kept messaging her just to see if she's still up for it. And I'm so grateful for you to be here.
So grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming.
It has 2 years in this.
2 years. So this is definitely something that I'm so interested. Honestly, I know I obviously see what you do and what you're into and how you kind of present who you are and what you stand for so strongly that I was just so excited to literally just sit there and like take notes throughout this entire episode.
I hope it's insightful.
It is. It will be. So obviously, let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
At your core,
Yes.
who are you? What's the journey you're on?
I think at my core, firstly, I'm a mother, and I think that defines me in a big way. But besides that, what I'm really driven by is a deep sense of purpose and passion. Obviously, fueling my love for creating natural beauty that serves a purpose in a way that is healing as well. So that to me is very important, that these products that I'm putting out there today not only are just for your body, but they're also for your mind and your soul. And I think that encompasses who I am as a person as well. I want everything to be about body, mind, and soul in sync with one another.
That's actually amazing because I know that you do place a lot of emphasis on ritual.
Yes.
And that is definitely a part of your brand.
Yep, definitely.
Has this always been something that you were into?
Yes. So from a really young age, I was so inspired by my mother and her 8 sisters.
Oh, wow.
Who really loved natural beauty. So I'd be in the kitchen with them, and literally the peels that they were using of fruits and vegetables and, grains, they would just blend together and put them on their faces, on their skin, and I would see the difference. Literally, like, they were the most beautiful women, and they relied on these things to keep them looking the way they did. So it gave me inspiration at such a young age. And I became very interested in it, as you can imagine, from a very young age too. I loved all types of beauty. So I'm not saying I was a clean beauty crusader from a young age. I would go out and buy the latest new product, but I would also love to be in the kitchen inventing and experimenting and putting things on my face and my hair. And my mother was a big part of my passion and love for what I do, but also a ritual that we would do every week would be the most peaceful part of my week would be sitting down between her legs, where she would heat up some hair oil and massage it into my scalp for about half an hour. And I'd tell her to keep going because that was my meditation for the week.
Honestly, you probably hands down got the most beautiful hair I've ever seen in my life. So
Thank you.
what she did.
Yeah. She really put a lot of love and passion into doing things like that for us.
But that's so nice because it's not, yes, it's great for the hair, but it's also incredible time to spend with your mother. It's that ritual, it's that bonding, it's that tennis, that, that touch,
it's so much more than just about your hair, right? And that's it was so relaxing to me. Like, I had such a hectic schedule. I was an ice skater. I would do all these things.
I did see that you are an ice skater.
It was nonstop for me as a kid. I was just doing 100 things all the time. But that moment of peace was my most savored moment ever.
You didn't start off your career in becoming I guess nobody does becoming an entrepreneur.
No.
You were very much in the corporate field. I mean, you were managing huge hotels and, everything in terms of hospitality.
Yes.
What was the point where you felt, I'm going to make a jump?
Well, that was, it's funny how that happened. So I actually went to hospitality management school in Switzerland, which I didn't actually want to do, but my parents really wanted me to do. But I thought, okay, I have a love for cooking, and maybe that's what I will get out of it. And I did it because culinary, and it's something that, okay, I learned a lot from, but not necessarily something I really wanted to do. I knew that I was always cut out for something in beauty. This is something that has piqued my interest from like when I was 3 years old. So I did it, and I went to hotel school, and unfortunately while I was there my father passed away, so I had to come back.
How old were you?
I was 18. It was a hard time.
Yeah.
And I got straight into corporate life. I went straight into working, and I didn't really have a choice at the time. And it was really fulfilling at the time. It was something that served me well at the time. But I knew my soul wasn't fully happy. And I just did it because I had to make ends meet and, didn't have an opportunity to think otherwise. But once I met my husband and we got married, and I knew I couldn't be in the hospitality industry working the hours I was working and then wanting to have kids. So I took a little bit of a hiatus. I took a little bit of a break, and I really dug deep. I had that time for the first time in 15, 20 years to really think about what I wanted to do. And it came to me. It really did come to me at that time. And actually, in fact, that was the time that I was also going through something. I was doing IVF, and I had that time to sit with myself and figure it out. And that's when it came to me.
Well, this is it, isn't it? These moments of transition.
Yeah.
And again, you start off thinking, this is the right way, the corporate way, I'm going to go and do this, and, this hustle hard and really push yourself to the limit. And then you're met with sort of life things, you get married and try for a family.
Yeah.
Then it's the IVF, and that's a massive turning point.
It is.
And at that point, you're kind of sat there at like a crossroads, and you think to yourself, well, I could go back to a high stress, something, an environment which I don't feel that my body can handle, or I can reevaluate and pivot.
Exactly. And it was a really tough, it's really tough to think going from that corporate lifestyle, right, to then becoming an entrepreneur. You're laying all your cards on the table, and you're terrified. And I was privileged enough to have my husband support me during that time. I don't know if I would have had the opportunity otherwise. So I'm very grateful to him. But also it was just meant to be. It was always meant to be, and I knew it. It was just a matter of time. I just didn't know when. And you know how they say, it's very cliche, but they say when your child is born, you are reborn, right? And I felt like that's exactly what happened, because I just
Felt goosebumps.
Yes.
Yeah.
I started my brand exactly 1 year after my son was born. Like, he gave me that extra strength.
Do you know, there's been honestly maybe around over 60, 70 guests that have said the exact same thing.
Really?
That there is a turning point once they become mothers. For sure. There is something that changes.
Yeah.
Their mind changes.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think it's obviously the shift in priority.
Sure.
And all of their, whether it's, writing a book, whether it's starting a business, whether it's creating a podcast, whether it's creating a brand, has most often happened after the birth of a child.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
It's incredible.
Something shifts within you. Right?
Absolutely.
And it's such a brilliant shift. It's something that you just can't imagine to ever happen. Like, oh, you've just had a child and you're going to.
Well, this is it. But I always think to myself, whenever I look at mothers and women in general, I find productivity goes through the roof.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's a really strange thing, because you've got this massive responsibility, but you think, you know what? Yeah, let me start something from scratch.
It's inexplainable, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a completely different episode. Yeah, because it's bizarre.
Yeah, it is bizarre. It's completely bizarre, but it's soul enriching at the same time.
So when at that point you thought to yourself, okay, I'm going to get into, well, I mean, walk me through that. I mean, you had Zayden and you know what?
Yeah.
My life isn't hectic enough. Let me start a brand new sort of concept.
This is coming off the 15 years of being in hospitality, working from 9 in the morning till 10 at night, like high energy, strung up, and there I am sitting with a baby.
Having to slow down.
Trying to breastfeed and not working. Like, it was just, all these thoughts just start going.
You're like, surely this is not it.
So this cannot be the rest of my life. No. And then, like, I love you, but I need you so much. But no, really had to answer my pants. I could not sit still. This is the person I've always been. And I would make stuff all the time in my kitchen, like constantly, and then send it off to my friends and be like, here's a present for you. And they loved it. I mean, the stuff that I'd made over years, decades, and used on myself and given to my family and friends. And I would love to package things beautifully. And, I like stuff like that.
Aesthetic.
It means so much to me. Even like setting my table. Like, I like to take a lot of time to do things perfectly. So I would package it up, and it would give me so much joy to do that and then give it to someone. And then hear, of course, the feedback being amazing. And then I thought, I might have something on my hands here. And my friends have mentioned to me that maybe you should, get out there a bit. And I thought, yeah, why not? But I have no idea how to do it. And I am so overwhelmed already thinking about it. So I started very small. I started just friends and friends of friends. And then word of mouth started happening. And then I thought, okay, now we need to take it to the next level. Get my license sorted, get a factory where I make everything. And that was daunting.
I can imagine.
And we went through, and my husband was a great support as well, but we had gone through factories on factories, and we didn't know how to get a trade license. We were going everywhere, but this type of business, it was hard to get a trade license for. So it took a lot of time and effort, but finally, once we got everything down, it was so rewarding. It was just the best moment, I would think.
I mean, to be honest, I've tried. For me, the lavender body butter is it's not normal.
Yeah, the hardest product to make.
And I can imagine, because it's like silk.
Yes.
I mean, you're left feeling like silk, and it smells divine.
Yeah. So this is the thing with our products, like I'm so particular about scents.
Yeah.
And of course, we don't use synthetic fragrance.
Well, this is it. Did you find that there was a gap in the market when it comes to this
Yes,
thing?
because
In terms of
people-
clean beauty?
absolutely. Now, I'm not clean.
What is
So-
it? Let's
Right.
define it.
Okay, clean beauty is basically using ingredients that are non-toxic. It doesn't mean that they're not like grown in a lab or whatever. You
Yeah.
can use ingredients that are grown in a lab, but they should be non-toxic. So that's what clean beauty is. It doesn't mean that everything is derived just
From an apple and-
no. So you have to have also sometimes preservatives, which are derived from plants, but are not completely natural. So it's misleading. And once you go delve deep into it, it's a plethora of things that open up. But basically now there are so many apps, beauty apps, that you can just scan your ingredient list of your product and it will pop up and say if it's toxic or non-toxic. So I think that's the easiest way
Yeah.
for people to go about things, because some of the times you're not even going to be able to pronounce
I
half
put
the
it
ingredients.
literally
on your
just
list.
my moisturizer without even mentioning a brand. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna get this app, or I'm
Yeah.
gonna show you.
Yes.
Because it's you do hear about it a lot.
Yeah.
And it has become a buzzword, and I find clean beauty and wellness has become this bubbling
Yes.
thing that
Yeah.
everybody wants to kind of make
Yeah.
sure to do, which
Yeah.
again, all well meaning.
Yeah.
But having said that, you do need obviously some things in there to actually keep it together or hold it
That's the
together.
thing. It's a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
And today I have a brand which has not a great range of products. I have a small range of products because I'm not willing to put in things to stabilize them, to make them their shelf life
Yeah.
longer,
Yeah.
but then makes it toxic.
I
You
heard,
know?
well, I not heard, I read that you exclude 2,000
Yeah.
different
Yeah,
ingredients.
yeah. There's so many. I mean, but the main ones that everyone should look out for is like phthalates, sulfates, aluminium, mineral oil, which is a derivative from gasoline, petroleum. And that's what was used on baby oil.
Babies, yeah.
So, and that's a carcinogen, so it's a cancer-causing chemical. So we're so aware of everything now. We have all this information in front of us. We are so concerned about what we're putting in our bodies by the food we're eating. We're looking at every ingredient list for that. Our cleaning products at home, everyone's trying to go non-toxic. What about what you're putting on your skin? And that actually goes directly, much faster than the food you're eating and the chemical cleaning products. That goes much faster into your bloodstream than any of that stuff. So people are not, I mean, the amount of girls I'm seeing in Sephora now that are just buying things.
Young girls.
Young girls.
Super young. And we
don't
are
need this
this age.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? I was that girl. So I
Look, to be
understand.
honest, I can't sit here and tell you that I don't love it. I love it. I love products and makeup. And
Yeah.
I've always been that way.
Yeah.
Very, very girly right from the start.
Right.
To be honest, it's only recently that I've been a bit more aware. Things like,
Yeah.
even things like deodorants, I want the maximum,
Yeah.
And then now it's kind of like, okay, maybe I should really turn it around and have a look.
Right. It's because you have that information available to you now. Back then, we didn't have any of that information available to us. So again, it's going down that route of what you put in your body via food, what you use in your house via cleaning agents.
Yeah.
And then also what you put on your skin. And now I think it's up to parents to educate their kids on what it is that they should use and what they shouldn't use. And now everything's becoming a lot more easier with these apps and, just looking something up. But yeah, the main things like formaldehyde, for example, was something that they use on straightening hair. It was all the rage in the 90s.
Isn't it that, you preserve body parts after, like cadavers? You used to have that, right?
Exactly. So these are the
Horrendous.
ingredients that are being used. It's horrific. But now we have the information. Let's use it to our advantage, I think.
Do you have, like, for example, in your line?
Yeah.
Do you have, I don't know how it works. Again,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but is there like one key ingredient that you need to always have?
No,
Okay.
no. Now, there are natural preservatives like honey
Okay.
is a natural preservative, and then I use as natural as I can. So there's nothing in there that if you read the ingredient list that you won't understand or recognize. Although it might stunt where I am today. Like I would like to grow, but in order to grow, I need those preservatives and I need that longer shelf life and I need to be able to do that kind of thing, which I'm not ready to do yet because I believe in my product so much and I believe that it works so well. So I'd rather do the small batches for now, with a shorter shelf life than lose my ethos.
I love that. What more could you want, really?
I mean, I really believe in all the products that I put out so much that I wouldn't want to change them at all.
So what is the alternative? Is it this or that? I mean, is there a middle ground?
So I'm not saying everything in your cupboard should be clean because sometimes there aren't
Alternatives. Yeah.
I'm working on a deodorant. I've been working on a deodorant for 2.5 years. But
I'm a
it's
deodorant fanatic.
sorry?
I'm a deodorant fanatic.
Me too. Me too. And
Like I have such an obsession
Yeah.
with making sure my deodorant is right.
yeah, exactly. And it's especially in a country like
I'm, and I'm a sweaty person. So
But
deodorant is
it's
crucial.
is crucial.
But there's so much bad stuff in deodorant.
There is so much bad stuff in deodorant and your lymph nodes are right there. And I'm particularly, I get really worried about my lymph nodes because my father had lymphoma and I know the amount of deodorant he used and how much perfume. Fragrance is another really toxic thing. Fragrance that he sprayed on himself. And I really believe like it all kind of goes hand in hand. Even with my hormones, I feel like I had a lot of hormone disrupting ingredients in my products when I was young and hence, might have caused me to go down the route I did with IVF. Like I don't put anything past this stuff. But deodorants are so difficult to get right naturally. So if you can get a deodorant with less harmful chemicals in it, I think that would be
key.
good. If it's an all natural one that works for you, great. I haven't had one that works well for me yet. So yeah, instead of it being such an overwhelming thing, like, oh, I have to get everything clean. Oh, I'm so worried. Do the ones that you use the most. Look at your deodorant. Look at your face wash. Look at your shower gel, things like that. Start there. Start small and then start swapping things out. Look for alternatives that work.
Yeah.
That's
the hard part.
It is a hard part.
To find the alternatives.
It is a hard part. And there are a lot of great brands out there that, for me, like a Dr. Bronner is a shower gel that I have in my house, like in every bathroom. And it's completely clean and natural. And I'd rather go down that route. And then, yeah, there are a lot of options and alternatives. You just have to see what works for you. It's not a one size fits all, unfortunately, when it comes to products, right?
Just going back on the fact that you almost make custom batches.
Yes.
The issue in terms of the harmful ingredients, is it to prolong shelf life?
Yes.
That's the majority?
I mean, some of the time, no. It's sometimes to get the consistency right.
Yeah, like to make it a bit creamier, or thicker, or something like that.
So, for example, my lavender skin whip, what my factory advised was put something in it to stop it melting when, it's being transported. If I want to start exporting, like you need to now put something in it to keep it hardened.
Okay.
And the only way to do that is to put in, something derived from a natural ingredient. And I was like, I'm not willing to do that because yes, while it may melt, it is so pure that you can use it on baby skin.
So if it melts, I mean, would you not just... It will just solidify?
It will solidify.
Yeah.
Of course, it's completely natural.
Yeah.
It depends on the temperature you put it in. But, this is how people think for business in terms of business, right? Like if you want to go bigger, quicker turnover, you want to export you need to do this. I'm not ready to do that just yet. I'm not ready to change up the formula. I go into the factory to whip this skin butter myself with my helper. We go in and we mix it. So it's not even done by machines. They have these massive machines, and we do everything by hand in the lab, in the
Honestly, it's amazing. And it's never melted for me.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that.
Like, I mean, it's it's really amazing. You mentioned something about that you're really picky with fragrances
Yeah.
as well.
Yes, I am. I find them overwhelming, first of all. I don't like synthetic fragrances most of the time. For me, aromatherapy was a big thing when I was grieving the loss of my dad. And I turned to aromatherapy before I meditated, before I prayed. It would be lavender most of the time, but it was a very specific lavender because there's many lavenders in the world. And, in products, people would like to maybe use cheaper grades of lavender. And I've always used one type, and it's the highest grade possible, and it's from the south of France, and it's a little farm, and I will not compromise those things. I'd never want to lose those touches.
Yeah.
Because that, for me, smelling that lavender takes me to a place of peace, and I would love that for other people too.
Yeah, which is exactly what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, body, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
Each product should be a holistic experience.
And you also make candles.
Yes. I don't make them personally, but yes, I have a candle maker.
And you're very specific about them
I'm very specific about what goes into my candles. Yeah. We do soy wax, we do cotton lead free wicks, and the oils that we use are 100% completely natural.
It must be hard
Yeah, it is.
because you have been known now
Yeah.
with Apothecary. I mean, you are the clean beauty brand.
Yeah. I mean, there are loads out there.
But I guess, but I mean, obviously for the UAE as a homegrown brand, that's what you stand for. So you really, I mean, I feel like it's a thin line you walk on.
Yeah. And, I do want to put out, people ask me for products all the time, Maria. They're constantly like, can you put this out? Can you put that out? And I just won't put anything out until...
What was the first product you started with?
My
Scrubs.
lavender body scrub.
Oh, the scrub.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, my mom loved it. I mean, all my friends and family loved it. I would make it for them before I even put it out. And everyone would keep asking me for it. So, yeah, it's transformed over time. I've been through many different versions of it to get it to the place it is now. Even our lavender skin rip, it started very differently to what it is right now until we perfected it.
That's what it's about, isn't it?
And it's trial and error, right? And research and development is so important when it comes to these things. And of course, we don't test on animals. We test on friends and family.
The best people.
The best people.
The best people. They're the most honest. They'll tell you if they don't like it.
Exactly.
And you're just going to have to change it.
Exactly. And I welcome the feedback. I want the feedback. I want the criticism. I want whatever to try and make it the best version of itself possible.
Has there ever been a point where you felt, I guess maybe started a line and then an ingredient that potentially was a toxic or a harmful ingredient, and then you just pulled the plug and you're like, I'm not doing it? I mean, do you commonly face this type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, with our factories, they don't really understand clean beauty, and they only do things in hundreds of thousands, and it's your run-of-the-mill products, beauty products you find in the supermarket or at grocery stores. So getting their head around understanding clean beauty, but you don't have a preservative, but you're not putting this chemical in, but how can you keep the So it's like I'm educating them as well and saying that people love this stuff.
Yeah.
My feedback is 100% positive, and you think that it can't be because there's...
You sort of almost butting heads.
So I'm constantly in this position where I'm trying to make them understand. I'm trying to get them to also assist me in making the product. But they're always suggesting chemicals. They're always suggesting, I don't know, a preservative that I won't necessarily agree with putting in my products. So no, I just point blank refuse. I don't go down that route, and there's enough. There's enough on the market that have all these things in them. Now it's time to look at products that don't have it in them that actually work.
So again, you mentioned a couple of sort of, I would say, toxic ingredients.
Yeah.
Are they commonly found
Oh, yes.
in the majority of products?
Yes. A lot of products have these. Look,
Unless otherwise stated, basically.
the beauty market is highly unregulated. Highly unregulated.
It's really quite scary.
Yes.
Because it's very much a daily use.
Yes. So it's up to the individual now, unfortunately, because they're not doing it for you. You need to now start looking at these things very, very carefully. SLS, silicones, aluminium, mineral oil, phthalates, sulfates, formaldehyde, like you will find parabens or shampoos, that's parabens and sulfates is actually getting known to most people.
Yeah, they're
now.
getting the most heat.
They're getting the most heat.
Yeah.
But people know these two words because they know that their shampoos and conditioners more often than not have sulfates and parabens, and they need now to get shampoos without these two ingredients.
And is that, do you know a little bit about, in the sense that the reason why they're so toxic, obviously because they enter your bloodstream faster?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, some of them, look, not all are used. When you don't get scared to think that there's a huge amount of these things in the product. Sometimes it's not even enough to affect you. But if you can do without it, isn't it better in the long run? Now, I don't want to scare anyone that way, but at the same time, yeah, just try and be as clean as possible. There are going to be other ingredients that you don't recognize, but once you do the scan and you see that they're non-toxic, it's okay. They're fine to use.
Do you think that that's a common misconception with clean beauty, that everybody's freaked out, everything is bad, and unless it literally comes from a banana peel?
Yeah, which is not the case. I don't agree with that either.
Yeah.
As much as I try to keep everything really natural, I have products that have stuff in them that I use. I'm not going to, but they're not the severely toxic ones. I look out for the, cleaner ones.
Do you know, and I think it's, like you said, it's a bit of a balance.
It is a balance. You can't be
one or the other.
One or the other. It's like food, right? And you're not going to be completely clean and not have your piece of cake or whatever on you. But yeah, you need to be balanced in everything you do. And as I said, now everyone's putting so much emphasis on the food and the cleaning products. Let's put some emphasis on body products too.
I totally agree.
And the stuff we're putting on our kids.
1000%. Look, I mean, I'm going to be interviewing a dermatologist, but she's a pediatric dermatologist. So this would be a really nice conversation to have, you guys together, because, whether it's autoimmune, whether it's reactivity, whether it's, children's skin has become, the rise of eczema.
For sure.
And all these types of things. I mean, it's definitely a lot more nowadays, I find.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know whether it's because of the product or the food we eat or a combination of both, but it's definitely something to think about and to be mindful about. Because look, at the end of the day, I find always the skin is a representation of what's going on inside, but also at the same time, it's going to absorb everything that you put on the outside.
For sure.
So there is a little bit of I don't know, it's like an interconnected relationship.
Yeah, there is, absolutely.
It's definitely something to think about. I think even with the boys, and I'm sure with your boys too, what shampoo and what moisturizer and things that you're putting on their skin is probably something that's on the forefront. I mean, I would probably sooner look at what's going on with them than with me.
100%. I think that's what really made me want to do what I'm doing right now. Maybe that was a catalyst as well once Zayden was born, and what I did, and I wanted to see whatever I was putting on his skin. I would use coconut oil on his skin. I would buy shea butter and melt it down and use things like that, because he had sensitive skin too, and I could tell if I put anything on with a little bit of fragrance or it would flare up. And even with our lavender skin whip, it's cured people's eczema over time. So I think with these products, the one thing that people need to be aware of, they don't work overnight. Maybe like the chemically ridden products that work overnight, but then cause other issues in the long run. These products take time, but they work so well.
Yeah. That's the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things don't happen overnight. Change and transformation isn't something that you can.
But who has patience now?
No, it's true. It's true. If this hasn't gone away, then it doesn't work.
Exactly.
And I get it. It's instant gratification. We are that generation.
Yes.
And I'm sure the next generation is even more so. For sure. But it's definitely something to think about. And I find, like you said, if we're so careful about what we're eating and what we're bringing into our home in terms of cleaning, we really have to think about.
I just don't get it. I see all these people that are...
Honestly, I think a lot to do with the advertising. It's powerful. When it comes to beauty products, it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And enticing and promises so much.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sort of you get pulled into it. I'm a complete victim
I was a sucker. I used to be a sucker for it.
Exactly. I mean, something can be packaged so beautifully. And I mean, like, the way that you package your product is gorgeous.
Thank you.
And it's, again, it just goes to show that obviously you
can package things that are good for you.
It's just this consumer marketing and targeting, and it becomes almost impossible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame these people.
And the claims.
Yeah, the claims are outrageous. And also, like, TikTok is just become a huge beauty platform, right? And everyone there, just the minute one person puts out a product, that's it. Like, everyone's on it. So in our time, in our generation, when we didn't have any of it, we were still doing it. So you can imagine now what it's like for these girls.
Scary.
It's scary. It's very scary.
What, obviously, in terms of, aside from the app, let's say somebody listening to this and like, right, I'm going to go through all my products. I'm going to turn everything around. I'm going to have a look. What should they be looking for?
Now,
how can they make a switch? Those, aside from those chemicals.
Right. So rather than doing that, I would say, look at the products that you use the most, as I mentioned. So your toothpaste, your deodorant, your body wash, your body gel, your face wash. Start with those. Okay. So don't overwhelm yourself and start looking at every product now and going nuts.
Literally, let's candle around and
just haven't looked at what you need to just look at the ones that you use the most and swap those out. Now, if I give you a list of the ingredients, it's never ending. There's like 2,000 things on this list.
So you're walking in the supermarket with this like scroll. Hold on 1 second, just to pick out a shampoo.
But as I said, like the main things that I can just say off the top of my head are parabens, sulfates, SLS, aluminium, mineral oil, things, silicone.
Yeah.
It's fragrance. It's never ending. But again, some of these products don't have enough of a quantity to affect you. So
be mindful.
But over time, you may not want to be using something that builds up in your body, the heavy metals, the toxins.
Do you know, I think there is also another sort of misconception that clean beauty doesn't work the same.
Yes.
Doesn't hit the same.
Yeah.
Like you said, toothpaste. Immediately in my head, I use a very mainstream toothpaste.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure it's filled with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And my fear is if I switch, it's not going to protect my teeth and, give me a nice bright smile.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a thing, especially with deodorant and toothpaste, the two things that we use
very
most.
Needed. Deodorant, if they fail me, I'll have a heart attack.
It's very tough. But the toothpaste has very, very harmful ingredients in it.
I know.
And if you try a more natural toothpaste and see if it works for you. As I said, it's not a one size fits all. So everyone has different experiences with different products. Some people love natural toothpaste, which I don't personally, but I do opt for the cleaner option out of the lot.
Without endorsing, we need to have a side chat of all the products that you use.
Yes, I will send you pictures of everything,
because it is, that's always even me, somebody who kind of reads up on these things and obviously has friends like like you, and you're very, very all natural,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
I'm still a bit like,
I'm not all natural.
toothpaste.
I'm not all natural.
No, but more so.
I'm
More so.
more conscious of it for sure.
Yeah.
Now that I'm so into it. I mean, I love this stuff and delving deep um but yeah, I'm definitely, for my kids, everything is clean. Like, they don't have a choice. Everything is clean.
I've managed to get them a really clean shampoo. I don't think it works.
Yeah, see, this is the problem.
It is the problem.
This is a problem. So I'm not going to tomorrow turn around and put out a shampoo and a conditioner, because my trial and error and research and development on my things that I've tried out are not great.
Okay.
So then I'm not going to put it out into the market.
But that's good because it's honest.
Everything I put out is very honest.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to even grow or make the range bigger unless it truly, truly works. And I personally love it.
And you use it.
I use,
Because they are
goes
all
without
tried
saying.
and tested.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Don't put products in and it's kind of like a bit of a fail.
Exactly. And I could very easily do a few, but I personally, if I don't use them, why would I put them out? Every single thing I put out, I use.
It's very interesting. I really have to go home and do that. Every stock on everything that I've
Don't
got.
get overwhelmed.
No, I won't. But it's just it's those things. Just to
Yeah.
be a little bit mindful over.
Just a bit more mindful. That's it.
Do you think in a couple of years, the hurdles of things like the shampoo and the toothpaste and the deodorant and to get the products up to the same kind of, let's say I'm going to use the non-clean as a
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
and a clean.
Yeah.
Do you think they could potentially be on par?
I think so. I think there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes now, and people are really aware and trying to make a difference when it comes to this stuff. So even from where it was 10 years ago, it's moved in such a great direction. So I think it's only going upwards in the next 10. I think you will see a lot of amazing things happen with clean beauty.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think people have also, because of obviously the amount of information that's
Yeah.
out there,
Yeah.
it starts brands like you who are quite conscious. And, at the end of the day, those brands are going to amplify the need for it. So
Sure.
I definitely think
I mean,
so
even
too.
food, you go into the supermarket now and you see so many more cleaner options that you did before. So I think as a generation, we're moving more towards that.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Obviously, beauty and science aside, entrepreneurship is not an easy thing.
No.
We were just talking about it.
Yes.
What would you say has been the most difficult part of the entire journey?
First of all, just getting myself up and running felt very overwhelming at the time. People from the business side of things, I don't have a business mind. I'm a creator. I'm a craftsman. I like doing that. And people would come up to me and say, but where are you getting your investors from? And where you,
What's your
who's
ROI?
funding? Yes, and funding and this and that. And that completely overwhelmed me. And I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Let's just stop. Let's not move forward. And that's where I think it's really sad. Like, so many of us have these incredible ideas and get overwhelmed and then don't start at all. And I don't know what pulls through within me to just start small. And I made my own investment and didn't take anything from anyone. And then the ROI was great. And, it goes to show that you start small and just follow your passion and just believe in yourself. And oh my God, anything can happen.
There's the 1% rule. The 1% rule that you improve only 1% every single day. It's not this massive, huge change overnight. Even if, it's funny you said that, because even with the podcast, so many people, where's your ROI? How is it funded? How is it sponsored? Is it from your pocket? the moment you start talking to me about financials, I almost want to retract and just go back into it, which is, of course, it's not a good thing. It's a mental block. I
Sure.
think in our generation,
Yes.
money and talking about money was always just a very much a non-thing.
Yeah.
Which I am actively trying not to. I'm sort of putting my big girl pants on and having the money discussion.
I'm with you on that.
And it's
Sure.
definitely something that it is empowering, but I feel like it's a lot to start
Of
up.
course. Of course.
But I always find in order for you to be consistent, to constantly show up, whether it's in your brand, whether it's here, whether it's anywhere else,
Yeah.
you cannot expect to do 100% on one day and 0 on the next.
Exactly.
But you can do that 1%.
Exactly.
That 1% increase or that 1% improvement.
Yes.
And I always say, even if it's just the questions I send you,
Yeah.
I adjusted the font.
Yeah.
That's my 1% for today. We're busy people. You're
Absolutely.
a mom.
Yeah.
You have responsibilities. You've got a business. You cannot be expected to turn around, a completely different story and scenario
Yeah.
overnight.
Exactly.
And that level of consistency, that tiny one step in front of the other,
Absolutely right.
is what's gonna
Totally.
outlast.
Exactly. And I mean, some people, have it in them to grow overnight and become these huge, and that's amazing.
And it is, and
It's incredible.
and it's always that sexy, growth story. Nobody wants to hear about the
No.
tiny adjustment you did on your email.
Exactly.
That's not hot. It's not
But no
something
one
that
talks
works
about
No.
But whoever started small does that.
Yeah.
And it's a conversation that needs to be had more openly and honestly, because I feel like there's so many women struggling to just start something but are so scared to do it.
Absolutely.
And they have such brilliant ideas.
1000%.
And yeah, that's what draws them back, and it's sad.
And it is. And it's just that whole thing that you think, oh my God, this mountain is huge. But yeah, just take one tiny little step.
Yeah.
Just one tiny step.
Do it with love and passion, and
that's it.
it'll come to you.
I remember saying to a few people that obviously the idea of having a podcast, all I kept getting was, but is it going to make money? How much money you think? What's your investment?
Yeah.
And I was like, just stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all I did is I just kind of made a connection. I met AJ.
Yeah.
I met, I came to Primes. That was my tick. I've done it for the day.
And it's a huge achievement.
And
These
felt
are
proud.
huge achievements.
And without kind of noticing, look, I'm all for being, planning and forecasting.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely something that we need to do and being smart about
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, don't let it intimidate you.
Exactly. Those are the key words. You cannot feel intimidated. And I have, like, as an entrepreneurial journey, we were just talking about this, right? There are days where you're just like, should I just pack this in?
Oh my God.
And then something happens and it shows you that, no, keep going.
Keep going.
You're brilliant at what you do, and it doesn't matter if, you're not feeling great today or you're feeling bad about it today, but keep going. And you've grown such a huge amount in such a short span of time. I always tell you this. I mean, even me, I've been doing it 10 years now.
Yeah, but you're booming.
But it started that small. I probably started booming in COVID.
I know what you mean.
There was that point.
That
turn. And then I felt like, okay, now it's a proper business. But it took a big amount of time before that to feel like it was a proper business, for sure. And then, of course, the challenges with getting it up and running. And then I faced one huge challenge that I overcame, and I was very proud of myself for overcoming this. So I do want to share this.
Yes, please.
I was working closely with some people who just, in short, tried to rip off my brand, and had a very similar sounding range in the same kind of packaging, and try to change out one ingredient here or there, and use very cheap ingredients. However, I got my back up, obviously, when I see something like, this is my baby and you're trying to rip off my baby. I've worked so
I do this in my kitchen, like, yeah.
And I confronted them, and I had enough on them to take them to court. But I thought, you know what? Why? Why do I need to waste my time? Let them do what they want to do. I have enough belief in myself to know that what I make is I mean, I make myself. Like I know I can do it probably better than them, and I'll stay in my lane and let them do them, and I'll do me. So it took a lot for me at that moment of time, being so angry, to just be like, okay, let me just stay in my lane and focus on myself. And this has happened now 2 or 3 times where people have tried to do this. And each time I have just put my visors on and said, just forget the noise. And it's taken me days
Yeah, I can imagine.
and weeks sometimes of like pain.
Look, I mean, they
to-
tell you, sort of imitation is the highest form of flattery. Not
Exactly.
in this regard.
No, this hurt really hard. And then I've had my friends who are also in their industries who have had people rip them off, and I've given them the same advice. And, there's always going to be people that try and rip you off, I guess. And as long as you have enough faith in what you're doing and you just are there to innovate and, create new stuff,
Absolutely.
stay in your own lane and do you.
That's so true. Just kind of block it out. Sometimes it's hard. And I feel like, especially in our day and age with social media, just it becomes even harder.
Yeah.
But it's that conscious effort.
Yeah,
Look, at the end of the day,
exactly.
you do what you need to do. I don't love the fact that you take somebody's idea and rip it off. I think that's why.
And these are people I worked with.
Yeah.
It was really
It's a bit of yeah, it's sort of underhanded. It's not something that you expect. I mean, I don't know. You should start patenting your
But so
products.
everything was patented as per the Dubai law. And I had NDA signed and I had everything done. But, taking that time and energy and putting it towards that rather than putting it towards my range and my products and developing a new product or whatever, it just didn't feel like something I had the energy for.
Fair enough. Do you know that actually is a really good indicator? You listen to your body.
Yeah.
It's going to suck out your energy, kill your creativity. You're going to go down a spiral of negativity.
Yeah.
Better block it out and keep moving.
Absolutely. And I think that's something I've learned much later in life. I was not like that. I would feel really, I needed to go and get my justice. But now I'm like, okay, you do you. And
Because you're selective. No, you're selective. Where you want to put that. You're either going to put it in your
Exactly.
heart and soul in your business.
Exactly.
Or you're going to waste your time with copycats.
And who has time for that?
Nobody.
We have kids, we have businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you say has been the most rewarding of your entire entrepreneurial journey?
When people come back and say that the eczema is cured because of the shea butter, the lavender skin whip, or someone's hair is now suddenly growing back after her chemotherapy treatment, and she's been using this regularly. I mean, it's just,
I need to get the hair oil.
yeah, I'll cast it too. But yeah, these are the things that I live for. These are the comments, like, it makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing what I'm doing for a reason. Like, sometimes I want to give up.
Yeah.
And then I hear,
It's that positive
Yes.
feedback loop.
yes,
As an entrepreneur,
Yes.
it doesn't happen often.
It
It
does.
actually happens very little.
yes.
So when you do get it, celebrate it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I do a little, you know how they say entrepreneurs do a little happy dance?
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
But those are the moments I live for, and that's what keeps me going. And that's why this small range of products I believe in so much, because they work for so many.
That must be good.
It feels amazing.
Yeah, that must feel so. It's creating something that helps people.
Exactly. I'm no doctor. I'm no
Yeah, and you must feel so proud. You've actually put
Exactly.
something out into this world that is good for human beings. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a huge tick on
there's
the
nothing better.
self-actualization pyramid.
Absolutely. There's nothing better. There's no better feeling for me. And I mean, I will go and I will show my mom and I will show my husband and we're like, let's get this. I know, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those are definitely the most rewarding parts. And of course, my kids who take so much interest in the research and development part of the products now and like to come to the factory with
That's
me
really cool.
and really take an interest in it. So, and they see that, okay, well, it's cool that mom's doing
It must be really
doing this. So that's rewarding for me as well.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
There is that sort of, what's the word? It's, when you get that gratifications, the kids kind of notice that
Yeah.
when mommy's doing something or she's busy, this is what she's doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. If I'm not
So-
with them, I'm doing this.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And obviously you are mom of two boys, just like me.
Just
in
like
life,
you.
we talk about how similar they are. Hasn't always been an easy ride.
No, I would say having the boys was very difficult for me. I had to go down the IVF route. Um, Again, I don't know why I like always think my AMH levels suddenly dwindled so quickly. And my ovarian reserve went down to like 0.01 or something ridiculous. I don't even 0.08. And this was before I even had my first child, and I was young, and I didn't understand how this had happened. Of course, they can't give you reasons. There's no real reason why it happens.
Especially when you go and see,
Yeah.
not just take anything away from the medical industry, but it becomes more,
Yeah.
on paper,
It's
your lab results.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was then told to go down the IVF route, which we did. And it was really difficult initially. Like, I never thought in a million years my grandmother had like 11 children. She was like so fertile. My mom was fine. I always wanted a child. Like, it was my dream from a very young age. So to then be hit with this suddenly a year after marriage, just saying, no, you need to now go down the IVF. I had to get my mind around it, like I'm sure so many women do, right? So we started with the IVF, and it worked the second time with my first, and then I had to do it another 4 times with my second. And anyone who's done IVF knows that it's so taxing on you physically, emotionally, mentally. I mean, it is a very difficult, dark time. And unless you have real good support, and sometimes you don't want to see anyone. I didn't want to be around anyone during that time.
Of course, yeah.
It's a very difficult journey.
But 4 rounds is very difficult.
So all in all, yeah, 6 rounds of IVF, and I never imagined that I would do that. So yeah, it was difficult, but I had a great doctor, and my husband was with me with every single shot I got. So that really made a big difference. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say was it was very difficult to have them. And once I had them, of course, like I had these 2 incredible children, and every day I'm so grateful when I look at them, and thank God for even being able to have these 2 boys.
Absolutely. They are gorgeous.
Yeah. With all the fighting.
With all of their they
skills.
keep you on your toes, but they're gorgeous.
I mean, it's the most rewarding thing in the world.
Do you think that it's somewhere in the back of your mind was also, I mean, you kind of touched on it.
Yeah. With the
Clean Beauty, with the products?
The amount I have used on myself. I had really bad skin in my younger years. So, and it's funny, most beauty entrepreneurs who you speak to would have had bad skin because they're the ones who want to go and experiment and try everything under the sun. And I literally put everything on my skin without even thinking, like the cheapest products to the most expensive to everything. And I really feel like maybe, there was a lot of hormone disruptors and these chemicals, and I feel like, yeah, sure. That's why maybe a lot of us in this generation are facing these issues
Maybe.
compared to the previous generation.
Yeah.
Along with food, of course, and things like that. But yeah, I'm sure it has played a part.
And somewhere niggling in the
For
back
sure.
of your mind.
I feel it. It's a gut instinct that I feel, yeah.
It's interesting because I'm pretty sure it's probably more than a gut instinct.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of those things, you are your best
For sure.
judge. You are,
Yeah.
you are the person who's got the ability to heal yourself, as we've been now told.
Yeah.
And definitely. And I mean, not to say we can't sit there and make absolutes at this point, but it's definitely something to think about.
It is something to think.
I definitely can see that people might take that and get a bit worried.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think it's a majority of factors.
For sure.
But I think if I can
just clean up
your
a
life.
little bit. Yeah.
Cleaning up my food. I'm going to try and clean up my beauty as well.
What do you do for self-care? Oh,
Many things.
what does self-care mean to you?
Look, self-care is not sitting in a bathtub for 3 hours, reading a
Absolutely.
book with candles
Because
around
that's
you.
it. How many
It's
times
not-
do you hear the
Mo-
word self-care?
So much. So much. I mean, for me, it's having those 5 minutes a day where I might be having a cup of coffee, looking out the window, and feeling like the happiest person in the world. It might be hugging my son. Things that I don't know. I always think 5 minutes in my day, what makes me really happy? What's made me really happy today? Car ride with you here. For example, like things like that.
It's funny you said this is my self-care.
Yeah. So this makes you so happy. It
Yeah.
feeds your soul.
Absolutely. I always find when it comes to mothers,
Yeah.
women,
Yeah.
there's this constant overarching guilt.
Yeah.
If I was to go book a massage in the middle of the day, I would be getting a massage thinking about what my kids are doing
Exactly.
and feel guilty about it the entire hour that I was there. I'm here. We've been doing this for now a little close to an hour, a bit more. I don't feel guilty.
You don't, right. Exactly.
Self-care is an activity that I'm not feeling guilty over.
I think that's also key. When you're doing your self-care, you cannot feel all these feelings of guilt and resentment or whatever.
Yeah.
You need to feel at peace, and then
you walk out with a
for the
pep in
day.
your step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the rest of
I
the
go back, I've got a birthday party, I'm sure I'm going to be a lot more social, you know? So
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
just that little thing, whatever it might be, whether it's working
Yeah.
on your business, whether it's doing something,
It could be as small as having a cup of coffee. I get so
Or
much
a coffee.
excitement
Same.
from things like that. And
especially by a window.
exactly. And even like cooking, like a meal. If I have something in my head for the day, I'm like,
That's not self-care for me at all.
but for most people, it isn't. For me, I
hate it.
love it.
I hate
I love it. And then I ask everyone to leave so I can have that time alone. And while I'm like mixing stuff up, I'm going into my meditative state. And of course, self-care for me is oiling my hair. It's doing my gua sha. These are moments that I really focus on and don't try and think about anything else. It could be anything.
No, it really can be. For me, definitely not cooking. Like that's torture. That's not self-care. I hate it. I do it now, obviously, for the kids. I
Yeah.
barely do it. Eva, my girl, she helps me out. If you could go back, I know 18 was a very pivotal
Yeah.
time for you. Yeah. If you could go back and speak to the 18-year-old Mamta
Yeah.
and kind of just, after obviously having gone through your life, what would you, let's say, 3 pieces of advice you would give her?
Rather than giving her advice, I'd want to go back and hug her and just say, God, I'm going to get to
No, me too. How about you said that?
It was just a very difficult time. And I don't know how I did it at 18. And when you're put in that situation, you just have to get on with life. It's amazing the strength that comes into you.
Yeah.
At 45 today, I'm sitting back in the 44, nearly 45. I'm looking back and thinking, 18.
Very young.
How did she just get on with it? How? So I just want to go and hug that person and also say thank you for just being able to do what I did. I don't know if I have the strength today that I did when I was 18, honestly. And also just to say that I have self-belief that everything is going to be okay. I think I started becoming a huge worrier at the age of 18. Obviously, I was worried about my family, worried about, making ends meet and going through a really tough time. And I didn't necessarily enjoy my life from the age of 18 into my late 20s. I didn't enjoy it all. And I wish I did, because everything was going to be okay and everything was going to work out. So I think that's very important. Sorry for the tears.
I'm sorry to ask the question, but no, yeah.
It was a tough time.
It's hard for a really young person.
Yeah. Especially also we were living in Dubai. I mean, Dubai is home for me. I don't know any different. But I didn't know how it looked to be without a man here, because it was me, my mom, and my sister.
You've got the tears going.
It was me, my mom, my sister, and then my dad had gone. So I was like, okay, how do I get to sponsor them as a woman? I'm only 18. I don't have a job. Like all these responsibilities suddenly on my back
Shoulders, yeah.
from not having an ounce of responsibility when my father was around, just overnight. Like I didn't know how to do these things. Where do I go to apply for the visas? And it was, my mom, of course, was super helpful as well, but I felt like I needed to take care of the
And you're the
family.
oldest.
And I'm the oldest. So, yeah, and that's a promise I did make to my dad that God forbid anything happened to him, that I would take care of the family.
And you did.
And I did.
And you rose up to the challenge.
I did.
And you're this force of a woman for
Thank
it.
you.
And you've given that as an example to your boys. You're going to make me cry. But to your boys. And they have an example of a strong woman who's not just strong because she's stern. She's strong in love, in generous with her spirit and soul. And that's something that, unfortunately, our life experience
makes
will
us
build us.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
obviously it's tragic. I mean, as an 18-year-old, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents, touch wood, are still around. And
Yeah.
as a 40-year-old,
Yeah.
it would be difficult, let alone somebody in the most transitional point in their life.
Yeah.
But now, in hindsight, do you not think that your dad's probably looking
Oh,
down,
for
thinking
sure.
like,
I have no doubt for a second that strength that I got at that time was him.
yeah,
No doubt. Like he was by my side, helping me go through this, because there are times I sit back, Rhea, and I look back and I think, this situation happened, but how did I
get out?
how did I get out of it?
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe I've blocked it out. I don't even remember. But there was a force guiding me through that. It wasn't me alone as an 18-year-old girl. No way. And I've had, without going into the whole spiritual realm of things, but I've had experiences where I felt him and I've known that he was around. And he was my best friend. He was the person I spoke to the most. He was everything to me in life. So when I thought that before he went, I thought, if my dad dies, that's it. I'm not going to survive. But I came back stronger and better.
Yeah.
And it was through him. It was through him for sure. Sorry.
Don't be. It's definitely something. It's not easy, but again, your experiences are
Make you who you are today.
Absolutely.
For sure. I definitely wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't experienced that.
You would be so proud.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely proud.
So
Thanks for ruining my eye mess up. And just turkey. What does Apothecary by Mamta have in store?
we have a few things in the pipeline. I think I touched on earlier.
You need to let me know about this one. I'm happy to try it out for you. I'm very weird about it.
Pig.
Okay,
Be
done.
my guinea pig. I will. I have a few things that I use a lot that I want to work on in a more clean way. Deodorant being one, and a few others that I can't mention right now because it's such early stages. And yeah, I don't want to grow the brand too much. As I said, I want to still be a small niche.
Oh, your brand is growing. Like it is growing. It is amazing. And what you are doing with it is amazing. And you put your heart and soul into it. And you put your heart and soul into everything. To be honest, I've known you for a really long time. And in every aspect, you put your heart and soul. So I have no doubt, like.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love that it's growing organically.
Yeah.
And that I'm not pushing. And people are just understanding the composition of the products and seeing what they're doing for their skin and their hair. And that is what is making it grow. And that is what is making it grow in the best way possible. So I can't ask for more. I really can't.
I feel like I should give you a round of applause. Woo! Go Mamta.
Oh, thank you.
I always end an interview with a quote. Not from me, from you. I always find that it's quite a nice way to kind of tie things together. I do have a quote. And for today's one is, the best way to predict the future is to create it. I find this embodies who you are as a human being.
Yes. Yeah.
You take something with the way that you do things, and you've literally created. It's like we bottled up Mamta's passion, and we've just presented it into the world.
True.
What would yours be?
So it's not a very profound one. It's from Forrest Gump.
I love the movie. I've seen it multiple times.
It's my mama always used to say, life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
It's very true.
You know, it's something that just sticks with me in the accent too. In my head. No. Playing constantly because, yeah, it was, again, a very special movie for me and my dad. And he would always make me say that line in the accent. And we would have a good laugh about it. So, yeah, it was a very, very special quote for me.
Do you say it to the boys?
No. I will today, though. Don't think I'm crazy.
Oh, Mamta, I honestly, I'm excited for our drive back home.
I'm excited too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for just being incredible. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to They Say It Takes a Village. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I look forward to bringing you another one next week. Don't forget, please subscribe, rate, and review so I can reach and help even more parents. And if you've got a topic that you'd like me to cover, please head over to my Instagram page, ittakesavillage.me, and drop me a line.